event we do every Friday at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, where we go over various topics of the FasTrax software. See a list of all these events if you go to our website, goftx.com, choose the FTx Lifeline button at the top of the screen, scroll down just a bit and look for that webinar button, choose that, and that will allow you to see all of our previous webinars that have been recorded. You can quickly view those just by choosing the View Recording button, register for our upcoming webinars, as well as sign up for the newsletter to let you know of upcoming webinars and other FasTrax related news. So today we're going to be going over a topic in retail that can be a pain point, but the software makes it a very simple thing to handle. It is credit invoices. There are a couple of ways to handle credit invoices. First, we're going to look at a way that's been in the software for many years, and then second, we're going to look at a newer way that was added in a very recent update. So there is a program that can be tied to a button or tied to an action POS, or just linked on your desktop or taskbar, called FasTrax Worksheets. I'm going to pull that up here. And what this is it's a program that is run at the store level. And the store personnel will log in. They will enter in at what's called a worksheet. And a worksheet is going to be preceding an actual invoice, a credit invoice. So they're going to enter in the items that they wish to return on this soon-to-be credit invoice. It's going to be sent to corporate. Corporate will review that worksheet, make any changes, approve or deny, and then finally flag that as an invoice to be applied, adjust inventory, and sent to the vendor. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in this program here. We can see this is what the window looks like. By default, it's only going to show open worksheets. I can uncheck that and I can see previously done worksheets. If I need to build a new worksheet, there's the option to choose the new worksheet, and I can either have that be a vendor return or a damaged vendor return. I can edit worksheets that are incomplete in the grid, as in open. I can delete worksheets and I can view worksheets. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose a new worksheet here. This next screen, we're going to choose what vendor are we going to be creating this credit invoice for. I'm going to leave it on vendor 1. I'm going to choose continue. That brings us to the vendor worksheet itself. So here, I can choose the add item, and I can add a new item in place. I'm going to put in a vendor part. I'll press enter. It's going to find the item that's associated to that vendor part. If I key in a vendor part that does not exist, it's going to let me know that does not exist. And then I choose my return quantity. How many do I want to return? So let's say that I want to return 3 of these. I can either return the full parent unit, the full, in this case, carton, or I can do the piece. If there's a subunit and you're returning the subunit, you'd want to choose the piece. And then I would input a return reason. Finally, you choose the Save button. That will then add this particular item to this return worksheet. Now, if I make a mistake and I need to change, I can choose that Edit item, make any changes, or if I need to just totally remove that, I can do so. Now, when this is being sent back to the vendor, I can put in the number of boxes that these products are going to be in. In this case, I'm just going to put in 1. And whenever I'm done entering the items that are to be returned to the vendor, I'll just choose the Save Send button. It's going to ask for confirmation. I'll choose yes, and then it's going to send that to the corporate server. Now, on the corporate server level, whenever you log into Director, you're going to go to from the dashboard, you're going to go to the Worksheets tab. This will show worksheets that have been sent from the store level. It's going to show the store number, the vendor type of return. Is it a regular return or is it a damage return? What was the date that worksheet was created? When was it last updated? What was the vendor? And if it's any kind of transfer, you can put in, you'll see the transfer information. At the very top, you can also filter to specific stores or all stores, as well as a date range. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose this one, and then I'm going to edit and view that. And we can see here that this comes from store 1. There's that item I was trying to return. I have several options down here. Of course, this is a worksheet, so it's not an invoice yet. So inventory movement has not taken place. So I can add items to this. and I'm going to have the same type of screen that I had at store level, where I can enter in the UPC or vendor part number, put in the return quantity. Is it a full return or is it a piece return, and the reason. I can edit what's already there if I need to make any changes. I can delete what's there. So you, at corporate, you have total control over what's actually being returned. You can leave it as it is, as the way the store sent it, or you can make changes or delete. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose Convert to Invoice, and then I'm going to choose Yes at the prompt. Here, I'm going to see what vendor this is for. Obviously, this is for vendor 1, and I'm going to input my invoice number. And it's going to let me know that that invoice was created. So now I can go to my inventory module. I can go to my receiving tab, and then I can see that invoice that we just created. We can see under the invoice notes, there's the note for from return worksheet, letting me know that this particular invoice was from a return worksheet. I can double click that to open it. I'll see the item that was on that worksheet. 3 is being removed. There's the total cost. And whenever I'm ready to apply this to my inventory, I just simply choose the apply invoice. That will then make sure that the inventory movement then takes place. At that point, you can send that product back to the vendor. So that covers the older way of doing vendor worksheets that is still widely used. It's essentially like a working orders, whereas the store inputs their values and corporate has a chance to review it. Now, this newer way is from a very recent update, and it's done directly on the receiving tab in your inventory module. So first and foremost, I'm going to change my director to store mode so we can apply these because I'm on a single machine. And I'm going to go to my inventory module. I'm going to go back to the receiving tab, and then I'm going to create a new invoice. So here's where I do the regular invoice creation. If you're unsure of how to do this, there is, I believe, 2 different webinars you can watch on creating invoices. I would highly suggest watching those. So I'm going to choose vendor 1 for my local store. I'm going to input a invoice number, the date. I'm going to leave my surcharge, my miscellaneous charges, I'm going to leave those alone. I'll put in some notes that was a vendor return. So at this point, I'm greeted with the normal receiving worksheet. Now, I can add items just like I would on a normal invoice. The difference here, though, is instead of putting in just a number, I'm going to precede that with a negative value. So I'm going to choose the add item. I'm going to enter in my vendor part or UPC. In this case, I know the vendor part. And at this point, this is where there's going to be some new options. So let's say that I'm returning this carton. At that point, nothing's really going to change from how it has been always. I can put in my part quantity. Let's say I'm going to return 2. I can simply put in -2 and then save and close. And that would add in, on this invoice, -2 to that, in this case, Winston carton. So it's going to be, whenever I apply this, removing 2 from inventory. Now let's say that I want to do -2 of the pack. Well, due to the pack not having a vendor part, I couldn't add that to this worksheet previously. What can be done now is whenever you choose this add item, enter in your parent UPC or the vendor part. I'm going to choose no because I want to have a new row. At this point, this child hyperlink is new. So I'm going to choose that child hyperlink. Notice the UPC changed. It's now the child UPC, that subunit UPC, rather than the purchase unit UPC. Then here, on my part quantity, that's now a hyperlink. It's turned blue, so it's a hyperlink now. So I'm going to click that. That's going to let me see this new window that shows up. There's my vendor part. There's my child UPC, and it's letting me know that there's 10 of that UPC associated to the vendor part, the parent unit. For the UPC quantity, I can say that I want to return, let's say, -5. Well, it knows, just due to math, that if I'm returning 5 of the pack, that's going to be 50% of that carton. So in this case, that part quantity is going to be 0.5. If it was 1.0, that's obviously 10 packs, that's the whole carton. But in this case, I'm doing a partial. So when I put a -5, it knows that 50% of that carton is 5 packs, so that's 0.5 of that vendor part. So I'll choose save here, and then notice that fills in the -0.5. 5 of this UPC will be removed. It's letting me know I have a current quantity of 7 on hand. And then my part cost itself for the actual vendor part itself, the full unit, is $91.60. However, what I'm removing from inventory has a total cost of $45.80, exactly half of that $91.60. So it's doing the math for me on my quantity and my cost. So I can choose this save and close option. And then whenever I apply this, it's going to automatically adjust the, in this case, both parent and child quantity. So I would see when I go back to this item, I would see that 2 of the parent has been removed. That's the way it's always been. That feature has not changed. But this new feature, we can see that I actually removed 5 of the child. If you do the math here, you'll see that that's exactly in relation and proportionate to the cost of the vendor part itself. So now whenever I go to my item details page and I look at those 2 items, I'm going to see inventory movement on both. There's my pack. So that would mean I had 3 on hand before when I removed 5. And there's my carton when I removed 2. Now, whenever you're doing credit invoices on your partials, breakdowns only occur at the time of sale on the register. So do not expect the automatic breakdown to occur whenever you're doing a credit invoice. If you, for example, if you have, in this case like I did, 3 of a pack and you remove 5 of that child, it's going to go ahead and let you go down to below 0, below that negative, or below that 0, so a negative value. It's not going to automatically take an additional purchase unit from inventory and then add in the packs. The system, though, will indeed, whenever you sell this pack again, it will automatically break that down, add 10, and then proceed with the sale. Breakdowns just do not automatically occur whenever you're doing anything outside of a sale. Okay, so just to see that one more time, let's go back to the inventory module, receiving module. Let's do a new invoice. We're going to punch in an invoice number and a credit invoice here. I'm going to add an item. I'm now going to look up a UPC rather than entering one. Let's say that I want to do a return on a Marlboro. There's my UPC. And let's find one that actually has a vendor part. Let me redo that. Because ideally, everything that is on an invoice would be done via vendor part. There we go. I'm going to get that prompt here saying that if I try doing the UPC and there's a vendor part associated, it's going to let me know, hey, there's a vendor part. Would you like to use this? I'm going to choose yes. Now I'm going to choose that child hyperlink because I'm going to be doing a partial return. I'm then going to choose the part quantity. And let's say that I'm returning 3 of the pack. There's my decimal value, 0.3 of that vendor part. I'll choose save. There's the total cost. This piece cost is directly proportionate to that total cost because I'm returning 3 of the child unit, which is 0.3 of that vendor part. I'll save and close, apply, and then inventory movement for that child, that subunit, will now take place. So that's how the new credit invoices are done with the new feature added to invoices. I hope everybody learned something today. Once again, these webinars, they are weekly on Fridays at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can see a list of these if you go to our website, goftx.com. Look for that FTX Lifeline tab at the top of the page. Choose that. Scroll down just a bit and look for that Webinars button. Choose that. And then this page will show you a list of all of our previous webinars where you can view the recordings, register for our upcoming webinars, as well as sign up for the newsletter. If you have any suggestions on future webinar topics, let us know at info@goftx.com. And if you have any questions on this particular topic, let us know at websupport@FasTraxPOS.com. Thank you, and have a great weekend.